Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of Beyond the Torch. I am Todd and I'm here with Leslie from Survivor China, and we have this really strong pride in finding some old school Survivor players to talk to. And today we are super freaking lucky because we have someone from the oldest of old schools, Borneo. Joel, welcome. We are super excited to have you. Thank you for
Joel
joining us.
Klug. Haven't heard from you.
Everybody gets the last name wrong. It's actually Klug.
Klug.
But I don't put the little dots over the U, so it's always that. So
That's why I got it wrong, Joel. You got to put the
everybody gets
dot.
it wrong. Everybody.
It's just hard to find the dots. Like, why not the dot?
I think in Germany it used to have an E at the end of it, and when they came
And then
over,
I would have said Kluge.
they chopped the E off.
Yeah, yeah, Joe Klug.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's like Verzog in Germany. We had a T. It was Verzog.
Right.
Oh,
Absolutely. Yeah. I've heard Zog by us. I grew up in the very, very German community.
That's so
Yeah,
interesting.
But either
We're all
way,
from the other side of the pond. I was actually French. My maiden name is Lehew. L-E capital H-E-W.
fancy.
Lehew.
You're the
I
fancy.
hated it. No, I
Yeah,
hated
that's so
it.
fancy.
Remember Pepe Le Pew? I was always
No.
I was called Let's Lay. I
Oh,
was called
geez.
Lesbian. I was called everything, and then Le Pew. Le Pew. And I was like, so yeah, she had a hard life. Anyway, Joel, welcome to Beyond the Torch. We're so glad
Thank
you're
you.
here today. Can't wait to hear all about your story. We are going to dive right on into it. But of course, first, we have this really fun segment. We call it The Fans Have Spoken. And today we heard from Spencer. And by the way, Spencer, you have been entered into the contest to win one of Stephen Fishbach's books. So because he got it in this past week. So you guys get your voicemail messages into us. Let us know what you love about Survivor, how it's changed your life, how it's made you think about things in a different way, or, you know, whatever, even if you just have a question for me and Todd or one of our guests, leave us a voicemail. It's right there in the show notes. It's a speak pipe link. So let's hear from Spencer today.
My name is Spencer, and I've been watching Survivor since I was about 8 years old. I started watching in season 31, Second Chances, because my dad, he had just started getting in Survivor during World Apart. And in classic 8-year-old fashion, I was staring over my dad's shoulder while he was scrolling through Facebook. And he stumbled upon the Second Chances cast reveal. I heard Jeff Probst say, "Spencer, you will get a second chance." And I was hooked. My dad had to was explain the show to me, and I was obsessed. Week after week, I would go back to my dad and say, "Hey, Dad, can we host a show with Spencer on it?" Because I couldn't remember what Survivor was called. And it meant so much to me. I'm Mormon. I was raised Mormon. I've been Mormon my entire life. Thanks, Todd and Leslie. Watching you on Survivor China meant so much to me. So just knowing knew the terminology, like, even though you're not a member anymore, I could not care less. Survivor has taught me to be a lot more accepting of it, and to find I can still be accepting within my religion and still love others. And Leslie, you've done the exact same. And I just want to say thank you. And Survivor is the best show in the world.
Well, I agree, Spencer. I agree that it is.
That's awesome.
I love this show. How that made me cry, like literally I have tears right now.
I wonder if Spencer is from Utah.
You
Because,
think?
you know,
You
all
think?
of us Mormons live here. Did you know that both Leslie and I live here, Joel? We
Yeah.
live in
You
Utah.
know, I wasn't sure. I keep thinking Florida. You know,
I
for
did
most
once
of
upon a
the
time.
He used to live in
Um,
Florida. Yeah. And
so
I go there every year. So
Utah is like the most beautiful place. You know, my wife and I were talking because she's watching this Lives of Mormon Wives or whatever.
Yeah,
Oh,
secret
God.
life of Mormon wives.
there's
and
so
it's
much more than this, Joel, I promise.
That's the backdrop. The backdrop
Yeah, oh,
is the most,
100%.
most beautiful thing. In about 30 years, I drove. 30 years ago, I opened up a bunch of gyms south of Salt Lake City, down to those ski towns down there.
Mhm.
That was in Spanish Fork and places over there. That is one of the most beautiful places in the country, I think, that we have. I mean, it's
That's
really-
Todd's stomping ground is over that
Yeah.
way.
Is that where you're from?
Oh,
Yeah.
right over
So my husband is from Spanish Fork.
Oh,
And it's funny because the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, they film in the city I live in.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So,
You know, that's your classic. I would always say it's like when the Mormons I lived in Los Angeles for a long time after the show, and you see Mormons there that left the religion, and then they would leave the religion, they would go wild. I mean, because they would just, no, nothing, no drinking, no birthday, it all, and then it was just wild. And usually they were very good looking people because they spent their whole life not doing that, and everything, and now they're getting it. I mean, if you look at it, but I did not know that you were both. Did they talk about that on your season, that you were both Mormon?
We did. Oh, I wasn't Mormon.
Oh,
I
you
was
were the only Mormon.
evangelical
I thought
Christian.
you were as well. So you never were Leslie.
No, I was evangelical Christian, moved here. Now Todd grew up Mormon and he's grown up here in Utah. But my husband had an opportunity with his work here. I guess it was 7 or 8 years ago. And we moved here from the Bible Belt, where I was like a Christian radio host and very much entrenched in that. But I had started questioning. And so when I moved here, it just made it a lot easier to start asking questions because I wasn't like surrounded by people who were like, you can't do that. That's dangerous. You're going to go down a slippery slope.
Well, especially if you're working in Christian radio. I worked after Survivor. I was in Christian radio for a little while in Los Angeles.
You were?
Yeah, I was on the fish for a little while out there. And, after that, boy, you look back all those years ago, and things were a lot different, I think, for our experience with that first one was a lot different. And really, I would say, the first group, we had one experience I went through, and then starting with that second group from Australia, they had some tremendous opportunities. And then it kind of started to wane even by the time I got to Africa. And then it was a different thing. So we had a lot of incredible opportunities very quickly. And I had a faith and Dirk had faith. So we were, the Christian industry came to us. Hey, do you want to do this? You want to do this kind of thing? And, it was a great opportunity. It's interesting to see that industry, though, of how many people were in that industry. I don't know if they actually had a faith. They were possibly in that industry.
There was a lot of pretense. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot. But that's great. You definitely have a voice for it.
Well, thank you. So do you. That's crazy, though. I didn't know you did that. Man, I would have totally been in contact with you back then. I would have been like, we need an alliance.
we could have helped out a little bit. There was also a different thing, watching it with our thing, how they kind of were figuring it out. The first season, they really didn't know what they were doing at all.
Yeah.
They had some experience from theatrical shows. How are we going to do this? Their biggest concern was, one, how interesting are the people going to be? But their main concern was, are they going to quit? Are they going to get out there and find out that this is eco-challenge level nastiness and these people are not for this and they're going to quit? And some people, BB unfortunately did, and not quit, but they were kind of giving up. And we were rule breakers. And a lot of how you guys operate in later seasons where people are blindfolded and all that kind of stuff, they had to do that because we were just talking all the time. We broke every rule. There was
you're the reason we had to sit in those vans with the garbage bags on the window.
We knew everything. We knew who was getting voted, when they were getting voted, how many votes were in a certain way. You knew who was getting along on the other side. The crew would talk to us openly.
Wow.
We would just hang out.
I mean, I guess that makes sense though, because like you have to learn from doing, and so it was like ultimately the biggest test run ever, and it was just a very successful test run.
It's so interesting. And again, if you would ask me in 1999 that I'd still be talking about this in 2026, I would think there's no way. I mean, because you think like Mayberry ran like 3-4 seasons and people still talked about it for 50 years. This is still on television, which is so crazy.
It's evolving. It's so evolved.
And it's such a weird thing that here this week Colby goes off.
I know.
Oh man.
And
I cried my eyes out. I was so sad.
The day that Mark met him, Mark Burnett, I happened to be at the Survivor office. And this is probably about 6 months, maybe a few months after our season even had done airing. They hadn't even really been looking for these people until after the show was over. And Mark said to me, and I guess this is something that was very fortuitous in my life. He said, I found your replacement today.
Oh, shoot.
And it was Colby.
Ooh, what a compliment.
Well, I don't know if it's a compliment. It was a slap in the face for me saying, "Hey."
I was gonna say I would be like, "Excuse me, my replacement."
No, but I
Definitely.
mean, there's always going to be your character on
Oh
each
no!
season, though.
Looking at Colby and how he conducted himself this season.
Yes,
and
you're
who
proud.
he is.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, dude, that was wonderful. You know,
Yeah.
it was
Such a
it was
good
a
guy.
weird experience for me to see that. I mean, arguably coming out of this, all of us, as far as success after the seasons after Survivor. I mean, Elizabeth Hasselbeck,
Yeah.
Colby. I mean, these are people that had tremendous success. We all had fun that we did, but he really, and I thought he really conducted himself very well. But I did not think at that point when Mark said that to me, that 26 years later, I'd still be talking to this guy that got voted off last week on the show.
Which is,
But also it lifted off of my shoulders the thought of ever being on again.
Oh.
And when I heard from Mark, I heard at that point, I said, got it. And then I just did everything I possibly could. CBS at that point saying, no, you can't do anything was not in the cards.
Well,
I'm going to go.
how did you find out about Survivor in the first place? Like,
'cause it
what
was not a
started
big
this
deal
whole
then.
thing?
So I was in health club business, and I had come from Wisconsin and grew up in the farm community outside of Green Bay, and I then got a job opening up health clubs. We were receivable management for health clubs everywhere, but they advertised a lot in Wisconsin for people. Even though I was not living here at that time, I had taken a job in Arkansas, and a very good friend of mine, Nick Vanderbloemen, heard on the radio that they're going to put 16 people on an island. The last person gets $1 million. And he sends me this email and he's like, oh, you got to do this. And I'm like, dude, I am busy. I have absolutely no time for any sort of nonsense like that. There was never thought in 1999 that you would be living in the middle of the country and you would be seen on a television show. The thought of that was as foreign
Non-existent.
It just wasn't even in your mind. And I'm like, I'm busy, man. I'm busy. We had the real world. We had Road Rules. I was always a fan of Road Rules. I always saw that show. I'm like, this looks like that would be a good time. I would love to do that. And so that's about all I kind of had in mind. And I ignored his email. And then about maybe 2 months later, this is probably July, August, September, maybe somewhere in 1999. He sends me the email and says, I heard that advertising again. You got to do this. You got to send it in. He said, nobody's going to beat you, man. Nobody's going to beat you. And I'm like, because I was a sales guy, but I was also in shape and I was kind of a nightmare to deal with and all that.
The self-awareness. I love it.
But I knew who,
Yeah.
So I thought for a second and I'm thinking, why would these people want to have me on the show? And I'm like, it's not to make me look good. I'm not going to be the hero. There's no way they're going to put me on the show that's going to put this person and make me look like that's not happening. I got to be a prick. So I went into the gym.
Wow, he knew that right away.
I was like, there's right. Because why, if I was them, why would they want me on that?
They need conflict.
In their shoes right away. Like, who is this? What is this?
That's
and also
so
my idea at that time was zero inkling of what actually happened. My envision of what was about to come was just, I didn't really have an idea. I thought they were going to put me on an island and every month they'd come check on me. And then a year and a half from now, I'm still out there. Almost like Alone.
You had no idea.
No, I was picturing the show Alone. If you see that show Alone, that's what
you thought it was.
Yes.
Stick me on an island. I'll be out there 2 years from now. I'll be out there. I grew up in the woods. I grew up like literally in a log cabin in the woods. You could put me in the woods indefinitely and I would live. That's the stupidity that I had. I had no idea.
What did you do? Like, how did you get on? Did you decide, okay, fine, I'm going to shut you up and just go and do this? Or like,
this is what so back in 1999, if you went to a gym to get your picture taken in the gym, they didn't have cameras for computers yet at that time.
Right.
They were still using a video camera that plugged into the computer, and that's how they would take the pictures. So I went to the gym and said, hey, can I use that video camera for about 5 minutes? Took the camera from the front desk of the gym, went to the parking lot, thought about this for a minute, put the camera on the dash, and just was the biggest prick I could be for about 2-3 minutes.
Amazing.
Never watched it. Never watched
You never watched it? Is it out there anywhere?
I looked through the video finder to make sure that it didn't cut half my face off.
Yeah.
Took it out of the thing. And then I thought, okay, I have to fill out this long application. And I'm thinking, well, they had 60. They said, if we want to see you again, you can pick these 16 cities to see us.
Yes.
I'm from Green Bay. Green Bay was on there. coincidentally, because of the Green Bay Packers, CBS only affiliate in this tiny little town. And they said, we'll meet with people in Green Bay. And I'm thinking, well, how many people are going to apply from Green Bay? 3. So fine, I'll go in with those people from Green Bay, even though I was living someplace else. And I would use and I still at this time did not take this as a serious thing.
Right.
This is not a serious thing. This is some nonsensical thing, because the place that you were supposed to meet them at in Green Bay was a TV sales place, American TV. It wasn't the CBS studio. So I still had this kind of in my mind of like, this is a joke. This is some silly nonsense that you're going to use to sell TVs. So I sent in a tape and I just forget about it. And I came home right before the 1999 New Year's, the 2000 New Year's, the big Y2K is going on. And on my fucking feed, on the caller ID, that's how old it is. The caller ID said Eco Challenge Productions.
Oh, wow.
And I was a big fan of Eco Challenge. I'm like, holy shit, that's got to be that tape I sent in.
Wow.
I didn't understand at that point that really that Christmas, December time in Los Angeles, nobody's working. Between Hanukkah and Christmas, everybody's gone. So I'm being a sales guy that I am. I'm like, all right, I'm going to work this like any deal. And I just called that office. I hit them up. I banged up every line. I called everybody in that office that I could find. Say, I think I got a number from you. I got a call from you. That's how I operate in life, you know. Nothing. I'm going to now go on vacation. Yeah, we're gone for the New Year. And I remember saying to the girl that I was dating at the time, I think I'm going to be on a television show. And she's like, what are you possibly talking about? What I mean, because it was as far out of any realm of possibility that it
because
It
like
wasn't
you
like
said, the
reality
only shows were Real World and Road Rules.
That's right. And she's like, well, what do you mean you're going to be on a television show? I said, I made a tape. She goes, what do you mean you made a tape? And when I made a tape in Dallas and I threw it in the mail, and I think I got a call from them a couple of days ago when I was out of town.
Wow.
Forget about it. Go back, we all hang out, do whatever. And about a week after New Year, I'm in my office in Little Rock and I get a call, and it's from the casting person. And on brand with me being a jerk, I said, what'd you call everybody? I thought she got 50 tapes. And she's like, no, you know, like we're calling you to meet in Green Bay. And here they had all those tapes. I still didn't take this seriously. I still was like, okay. So I went up, I turned it into a trip to go up to hang out in Minneapolis. And then I'd go with my friends the night before in Green Bay. I was like, hey guys, I'm coming to town. Let's go get ripped. And what do we do the night before my audition? We just
You and so many people, including Boston Rob, that we have talked to, were like ripped the night before and like just showed up like hungover and
he
like,
is
smelled like
definitely
alcohol.
Rob would absolutely yes, for sure. Especially at that time in life. I mean, he drank more than me.
You guys are in your 20s, you know. I mean, what are you
And
doing?
wild, and we were wild.
Having fun, yeah.
And we didn't know. Again, in this first time, again, there was no understanding. We still didn't take it seriously.
Yeah.
Well, the last minute they switched it to CBS Studios.
Oh,
And I'm like, oh, WFRB in Green Bay. Maybe this is real. Maybe this is a real thing. And talk about coincidences. So I'm in the health club business. About 2 weeks before this, I had been in Los Angeles and was working with Goldstein of Hollywood. The PA that I ran into, Angel, was a gay dude from Hollywood. And we just started bullshitting and talking and hanging out. My loving this dude. We're getting on great. And he's like, here, listen, because we know the same gym owner. He knew the owner of Hollywood Gym. I had just been out there on a member, all this stuff. We're hanging out. And we're just getting along great. And it's coincidentally years later, his husband ended up getting me on another television show because it was a connection that I made at that point. But I got out of them what they were looking for from me. And he told me, he says, you're supposed to be the guy that's going to hit on all the girls. And I'm like, interesting.
I got this.
Well, I'm thinking I'm in this thing to do a competition I'm not thinking like this.
Right. You haven't seen it yet. You don't understand what's going on.
Idea. I'm thinking this is some other thing completely. I'm like, why would that? What do you mean? I'm like, what? Now I'm showing up at this thing hungover. I mean, I look pretty beat up. The guy, so I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm like, whatever. So he's giving me all this information. I'm like, okay, I can lay that down. I can work with that. So I go in the room with the person, and they got the big camera in front of me, and the camera's off to the side. And the very first question they ever asked me is, "This is going to be really tight quarters out there. On one side of you, you have the most beautiful woman you've ever seen, and on the other side, you got a gay guy, and they both start hitting on you at the same time. What are you going to do?" That was the very first question they asked. And I'm thinking, okay,
That's a weird question.
this
Did
is
you get
not
questions
HR.
like that, Todd?
This is not HR. These are not HR people. This is not that.
Okay.
None of this at this point after that. The rules of a regular job interview for me went out the window.
Yeah, gone.
And I'm like,
Gone.
okay, if you want to play with me like that, I can play with you like that too. And quite honestly, I never should have been on the show. I am not the person that should have been on the show. I am
You
not the
pretended.
person that would outwardly
Yeah.
show what was going on. And they picked up on that. I mean, and we could talk about that forever, because then we went through that interview and I just let them have it. I had fun with it, but I still kind of, as the shrink said, I held my cards close to my vest, and that was who I was, because I'm not going to let that out there in the world. But I kind of let them have it. I had a lot of fun with them. And I left, and I didn't think anything of it, because when I'm leaving the studio now, the next person coming in is a dude in combat fatigues. He's wearing a shirt with the sleeves cut off, and he's got a Rambo mask on, and like a rubber Rambo mask on. And he's coming in dressed like that with combat boots, and I'm leaving dressed like a normal human. And I'm like, maybe I'm not right for this. I'm not the guy for this thing. And I just left, and again, forgot about it. Didn't say anything to anybody. Didn't tell my family. I told like 2 or 3 friends I did it. I was like, am I joining a cult? Like, what kind of weirdness is this whole weird thing? What is this? Yeah. Nothing. No feedback. And then they call me again a couple weeks later. They want me to come to Los Angeles. Now I got to go to my boss and say, hey, they want to see me out there. And I walk into, so I was a good distance up in the company. So I walk into the VP's office, and he'd always talk on a speakerphone. And he's always leaning ahead, and he's talking on the speakerphone, and he puts it on mute. He's like, what? And I'm like, they want me in Los Angeles to talk to him about a television show. And he's like, I don't have time for this. And he hits it, and he goes on. He thinks I'm just bullshitting him. And I'm like, no, really, they want me. And he goes, dude, and he puts it on mute again. They're still talking on this conference. He's on mute. He goes, man, if this is just some scheme for you to hook up with a chick, I'm going to be so pissed at you, because he's thinking I'm coming up with an excuse to go to Los Angeles for a couple of weeks.
Oh my
I mean,
God.
again, this is like, to say this in 1999 that they want me to come out to CBS, and CBS is going to bring me out to do the thing. They're like, dude, just come on. It's like I was on the moon landing or something. It's just ridiculous thing. And CBS casting had to call him and explain to him, no, really, we want to talk.
No.
Okay, dude, go
That's
ahead.
amazing.
And I went out there,
amazing.
and at that point, even I went out there, and the psychological profiling, they knew at that point that I was not going to be the guy that was going to let it all hang out on the camera. They knew that. But
Why
again,
did they pick you?
because I would have great interviews and fun interviews and say crazy stuff and talk about the adventures of my life and who I am and what kind of ridiculous person I am. But then I would kind of hold back a little bit. And I was doing a physical, they had to do a physical with us to make sure we could do it. And there was a doctor called Ado. And he was a doctor for the first few seasons. And I liked him a lot. He's a kind of a tough guy from Australia. And he's giving me a thing. He says, hey, listen, man. And he whispers down to me. He says, hey, listen, man. You're on the fence too much. If you want to do this, if you want to make this show, he goes, they like you. They want you to do this, but you got to get off the fence. So I'm like, okay, another great piece of information. So I went in there and I just let it snap. And I could tell what they wanted from me from the previous things. I could tell what they kind of wanted from me. And I played that way. But again, I did not in my head properly envision what I was about to go do. I was just thinking, you just get me in that room, I'm going to win this son of a bitch. Just get me in that room. I thought, I don't give a shit. I did not know there was going to be all these rules and situations and the way that they could do this and all the stuff. I mean, all the mechanisms. Now that's the first season, let alone now with this thing and that. I would throw this over here and give this kid this and just snake that whole thing through. But at this time, I did not envision properly what I was really being asked to do. Also, I did not appreciate how big this was. I did not appreciate in any way how powerful network television is.
Yeah.
how truly
How
powerful.
could you have though? Like literally, I don't think anybody knew. But the first time I watched it, I just remember somebody saying, there's a naked gay guy on this show. You got to watch it. And I was like, oh, I got to watch that. That's hilarious. And I
There
watched
was
it and I
only
was
supposed
like,
to be one. There was only supposed to be one season of Survivor, just
Yeah.
like Who Wants to Marry a Millionaire.
really?
So the year before, Who Wants to Marry a Millionaire with Darva Conger just was a massive summertime hit. And Les Moonves had come into CBS and he's like, I want my thing. Where's that British guy that came in here and pitched this thing? Bring that guy back in.
Right.
Oh, wow.
So they were just supposed to do kind of a one-off little fun stunt thing.
Like a
That's why it
summertime
took so-
show.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
just a
well,
And
summer show.
Pilgrimage.
That's why it took so long after our season was over to even meet Colby, because they hadn't even had the second one greenlit really until it was such a massive hit for this weird
Massive.
thing.
Yeah, until you had 50 million viewers plus a week.
It's crazy.
Ah.
It was
wild.
I did have an inkling, of course, once I got out. So I didn't know. Do you remember a show called Double Dare and stuff back in the day? It was this goofy little hokey thing. I didn't know if that's what I was going to, or if I was going to the Eco Challenge, or what was this. We started to, as we started going through the casting and they started giving us information, we started to have a better idea of how this was going to go down
Yeah.
and what this was kind of.
Well, it's
And even
interesting
still-
because I feel like when you first kind of heard about this, you were probably in your mind like, oh, it's a competition, like
Yeah.
Eco Challenge. It's like,
Yes,
it's
exactly.
challenge me or whatever. And then you realize when you get out there, oh, freak, this is a
Right.
social experiment.
Oh,
This
for
is
sure.
about relationships. And so
It
like,
has
if you're
nothing
not
to
ready
do
for
right.
that, oh
Absolutely.
my gosh. And I feel like Joel, and this is what really makes me sad for you. I feel like they misunderstood you out there so much. And they
Sure.
just had this idea of who you were. And that was your downfall. Like, 'cause I do think you're such a fun, great guy. But do you think that guard that you put up maybe
Wow.
got in the
What-
way? What do you think happened out there?
Once you get out there, I think what was supposed to happen was Rudy and Richard were supposed to team up,
Mhm.
and
And they did.
BB and I were supposed to team up.
Oh,
I was supposed to try to bring BB back in because now, look, as old as I am now, and this is so sad, and it kind of gets me emotional.
yeah.
BB is me now.
Mm.
That's who I am now.
How old was he when he did the show?
He was in his 60s at that point, but I am 10 years away from being that guy because we
Yeah.
both had come from modest upbringings, to say the
Mm.
least. And we had kind of figured out our way in the world. And sometimes that is an offensive, cantankerous way. And
Such a good way to put that.
if I could have brought him in
Hmm.
and team up with him, we could have, but he quit.
Yeah.
He was so used to the luxuries of life to
Mm.
go out there and then be like, hold on, you want me to do this? Because he probably thought it was going to be freewheeling out there too. We didn't know that there was going to be all these parameters on your behavior out there.
Yeah.
We didn't
You really
know-
are starving. You really aren't, having to work for everything. And
And it's really
Shelter.
scary. Listen,
Ooh, it is
look at
terrible.
Your season. We could get it. And there's so much. Your season looked terribly miserable.
oh, it was horrible.
Yeah.
It was the worst. Longest 9 days of my life.
It didn't look like it was a pretty place to be. It didn't look like it was a wonderful environment to be in.
It
looked
smelled like manure.
absolutely terrible. And that's how ours was for sure. It was miserable.
Yeah.
So when BB
Yeah.
got out there, and Mark came and he kind of gave me the thing. He says, "Hey, Mason, you got to freaking bring BB back in here." And I tried. Like there was a time when I was like BB, and I'm trying to talk to him, I'm trying to reason with him because I'm like, "Come on, buddy." But he was such a loose cannon. And then you had Greg, who was this Trustafarian.
He was just having a good time out there.
Money didn't matter to him because he came from money. So
Right.
it wasn't real. This $1 million still, that's another thing too. Saying that you're going to get $1 million now is a reality.
Nothing.
I mean,
Yeah.
Mr. Beast gave away $10 million plus on his show. There was consolation winners of $1 million. But at that time to come in there and say, "Hey, we're going to give you $1 million," it's almost like a fake thing. It's like, "I'll give you $1 million if you shave your head." You're not really going to get $1 million.
Yeah.
So the concept of, guys, a month from now, one of us is going to get $1 million was not hitting with Colleen and Gretchen and Greg and Jenna. It was a concept that was out there that was beyond. Plus, I think they had a very limited working experience, and Greg had just come from the university. And I started talking to him. I'm like, "Oh, you went to Brown?" I said, "Do you have a scholarship?" I said, "Where do you live, Plano?" And now I knew Dallas, and I knew Plano was like the Beverly Hills at the time of Dallas at the time. It was like wealthy and everything. I'm like, and he's dressed like a homeless guy, and he says he's a shepherd. And I'm like, and he got then he went to school and he got an anthropology degree. I'm like, well, you might, so you went and you did rock climbing for 4 years in Brown, and your parents paid $200,000 and you're working as a shepherd. And I said, if my parents paid $200,000 for me to go to college and I was working as a shepherd, they'd shoot me.
Yeah, exactly.
So I knew it was like money was not a concept to him. That was like, it was a needed thing. So he was just hanging and playing.
He was so entertaining, though, I have to say.
For you guys.
I know. You probably drove y'all nuts, though. Like, I was kind of watching some clips before you came on, and his question, he was like sitting around the fire with like people from all walks of life all over the United States. If you were to describe your favorite lovemaking position as a food, what would it be? I was like, oh my gosh, if somebody asked that on our season, I would have been like, are you insane?
We had such a fun time.
You did.
I mean, it was, I'd have to say it was the time of my life for sure.
Well, here's the biggest thing too with Borneo compared to any other season is you guys literally you wrote the rules for the rest of us. You wrote the game plan. You wrote out the map. You are the ones who let people like me, who became like the student of the game, to study. And you had none of that. You had Road Rules and Real World, which were the only reality shows. So like you said at the beginning, where you were like, yeah, I'm going to be the prick, because that's what they always cast on the Real World, and then on Road Rules, it's a competition, but you're going around, but you still have the prick and you just play that character. So I can't even imagine going in so blind to the game and having no idea what I was getting myself into.
Todd, you killed it in your seasons.
He did. He did.
I mean, honestly, the way you played it, and you were adorable too. You were a thing. I
He was my boy.
I'm not at the dudes, Todd, but if I was, I'm telling you. I mean, you were a cute little guy, and you were personable. You had absolutely right. Leslie, you were put in a tough position right away.
Yeah.
They knew they were going to send you in that temple.
Oh, yeah.
So they would have been casting somebody that wore Christianity as their identity.
Yeah. Well, while they're asking you and Todd questions about like, what are you going to do when a gay guy hits on you? When they're asking you those, they're asking me, what's the last sin you committed?
Yeah.
and what would you tell somebody who's gay about,
Right.
And,
so look,
like,
I mean,
it was the whole thing was about my religion. So
and they knew they were going to put you in that temple.
Yeah.
They knew they had already scouted that location. They knew that I was in there. They knew they were going to run in there. What we need is a Christian person that in front of everybody here is going to go and do that and not prostrate herself in front of this, in your mind, false line. Of course. And again, I'm with you on that. And they put you in that position out there with people that probably hated religion.
Yeah. And honestly, I would have said I wasn't religious. I had a relationship with Jesus Christ. As a matter of fact, I said that and I got a lot of flack for it. Because that was the evangelical way to say,
sure. Right.
I'm not rule focused. I'm relationship focused. In retrospect, I was very religious and I was very afraid. And a lot of that was from fear. I've come through that, but like Survivor really helped me to see it. So like, what are some things about yourself that Survivor helped you see?
Oh my God.
I know, right?
It's hard to say. It took me 25 years to really figure a lot of stuff out. Because you're going to have your first reaction when you come off and you're going to see yourself for the first time.
Yeah.
And if you're any normal human being, you puke on the floor.
Yeah. I had a hurl bucket beside me. I would not go to watch parties. I was like, I'm going to throw up. I can't
watch it. Like my son has only seen 2 episodes.
Oh.
Because I watch it. I'm like, this is just, because also, okay. So we get out there. The show starts going. And the first few days are really, really, they're really scary for real. And they're terrifying. And I grew up in the woods and I was scared. And I had Jervis and Ramona, who are as city kids get, out of their element. Greg's off being on a nut job. It's all over the place. Jenna and Colleen are chasing him from the hot minute. Like also it's turning into this relationship thing. But I still not taking it seriously. I'm still like, okay, is this thing even going to come to air? Is anybody going to watch this? This is chaos. And this is chaos happening. The crew is rebelling. Nobody gives a shit about any of the rules. Nobody's respecting anything. And Mark's doing his best job. And it was not until Craig Pelagian, who was in for the first few seasons, it wasn't until he got involved that this thing kind of snapped too. And that was about the time that we went for the buggy challenge.
Oh,
And I am not a person that eats stuff like that. And I was really freaked out.
So
But we
freaked
go out
out.
there and we ate these live animals. And when that happened, I was like, holy moly, I have never seen anything like this on television before.
This
I think
might be a big deal.
I think this is a big deal.
Yeah.
And that's when I really had to start thinking. Like I did business. I was in business and I was relatively successful at that time. And a lot of it had to do with I was a trustworthy farm kid from Wisconsin. And I can't go over here, even though all of us have it in us to cut throats. Everybody with a child with the gun to your child's head, you will do the nastiest thing possible to make sure that is handled.
100%.
And that is what they really, that's what they were trying to pull out with $1 million. Like, Leslie, if I truly had to make you get on your knees and pray in that temple, I could probably do it if I had it out there enough for you.
Let me tell you something though. My answer to the question on the application, what would you not do for $1 million, was I will not bow to any other God except for Jesus.
Now let's
they
think
were
it's
like,
$1
she's
million.
cast.
And they were like,
Let's now what they were trying to set was, what can we put out there that is equal to me putting a gun to your child's head? $1 million is what they came up with. How much is that number? Is it 100 million? You know, how much, like if I truly was, so that's the behavior. So you had a limit, you had a standard,
and they
you were
knew
not
it.
gonna go by.
I was probably cast before they even met me, just from that
They
answer.
read that
They were
answer and
looking
they were
for
like,
that. They were
Buddhist temple.
At Todd, I mean, Todd, is it? You both had filled a need that they definitely had.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, it was the gay Mormon flight attendant and the Christian radio host.
The Southern Christian mom radio host.
And
who
so
loved
it's
Jesus
like,
with
let's
her
put
whole
them
heart.
together on a trip. But I don't think what they did not expect
No.
us to actually like each other.
Exactly.
They
for sure.
expected conflict. And so
Right.
what's crazy is the fact that we became friends.
Yeah.
So
That's the beauty of Survivor, because I've come
It
in
is.
contact with so many people over the last 26 years that I never.
Never would
exactly.
have met.
And it goes back to the fan that called Spencer and he said like he's Mormon, but Survivor has helped him like to
Sure.
learn to accept people. I think
I
that it
love
really has
that.
helped me a lot because I was born and raised Mormon and I was in my little bubble. And so I didn't know the outside world. I just was taught, you know, this is a sin.
Everybody
this is
feels
not.
this way.
Right.
Everybody sees the world the way you do. That's what I thought. And then I realized on Survivor, oh gosh,
Well,
I don't
here's
think as many people think about the world the way I do as I thought.
You know, it wasn't until recently, though, you know, now we're talking about, okay, now here's your behavior, right? Here's your behavior, whatever that may be. And you're going to have to go back to your work life and your family life after this. And I know the whole it's just a game thing comes up. And Todd, you probably feel differently because you never got voted out. Right.
Yeah.
This animosity towards people that screw that up. I told people just recently, I said, don't worry. I spent 26 years and it's still there. It ain't going away. You know, you will have irritation at people like, because it was a wasted opportunity. Todd, you'll never have that because you never got voted out. You know, your thing works. Leslie, I'm sure there's something that you look back and like, I woulda, shoulda, coulda.
I don't,
do
I'm
all
not
the time.
mad. I'm not mad at the people who voted me. I understand why they did it. But damn, I would love to play again.
Understanding and
mean-
still being pissed. They can be living in the same house.
So
I mean,
yeah, they can
you know.
be, they can both be existent in the same exact moment.
absolutely.
And I feel that. So I'm not mad, but I'm disappointed in myself.
Very
But I
good.
also know, you know, not only did I get set up in the temple, but then I got sick. And when you're sick, you
Yeah,
can't play the game the way
for
you
sure.
want to, you know?
Or,
So
yeah, you'll notice that's exactly the same. You are, and so that's a thing too. When you're sick out there, if you're nauseous out there, that's as hard of a situation. For me, that's a tough thing. You know, Jenna Lewis in our first season, that's when I found out she was a badass because we were running through the woods and she was stopped and she puked and just kept on booking.
kept running.
And,
That's
and
amazing.
I'm like, and we
I
were
love
a
her.
different level. They were so afraid in our first group that we would quit. That's why, again, I never should have been there. After the bug thing, I figured out how terrible it was, how big this was going to be. And I said, I can't do this on TV. I can't, I know now what they want me to do and I get it, but I need, and if I had somebody I could have teamed up with, I had Jervis left. I had Jenna and Colleen and Greg being ridiculous and unreliable. Gretchen lost her complete focus.
Yeah.
She starts talking about this like it's a dang camping trip. And Jervis and I are like, this is a disaster. And Jerv, he's just along with the vote. He's not going to do anything. You know, he's just a loyal dude that we were tight. So I'm like, man, I can't do what I got. I remember walking through the jungle, really thinking about this, going, I can't do this. I cannot do what they want me to do.
How frustrating.
I can't
That's
do this
so
on
frustrating.
TV. Now, you would, again, when I said gun to your child's head, what would you do? We all have it in us, but we don't all, like I had stuff to lose back home.
Yeah.
And so that came into play. So they were right in casting that I was going to keep my cards. They were right. I just bullshitted. That's why CBS probably pissed at me to this day, among many other things. But it's, you know, that's why also Mark was like, listen, I got your replacement today. You know, and I was cool with it. But again, that was a blessing because then I didn't have to ever think like the thought of me ever being on again. Like my girl that I was dating at the time that I was cast, like we broke up, she did a video. She sent it in for Survivor. She went all the way to the day before going to CBS. They were going to have her on. I do believe Elizabeth Hasselbeck was put on after they kicked her out because they're in the meeting room with, and this girl was a high quality individual, an amazing person. And all of a sudden Tom Shelley is in there and he had met her at my at-home thing. And he goes, because they're trying to figure, like, Tom's like, how do I know this girl? Like, how do I know this person? He goes, and Mark's in the room, everything. He goes, that's Joel Klug's ex-girlfriend. And Mark's like, what? And at the time, they thought even somebody that knew somebody was too much of an advantage to have them, let alone a returning player. Like, it wasn't even out there. And they booted her out just for knowing me.
Oh,
And
that sucks.
Now all these people are going back on in season 50 and all the different things. So the thought of me ever doing a reality show again was dead immediately. So I just pursued regular entertainment stuff, and I had a good amount of success. And honestly, I still work in it. You know, I work for Moto TV now. We have a production company. We have a TV network. I still work in it now. It changed my life. I listen. I'm very, very, very proud.
Yeah,
to be
You
involved.
should be. I mean,
yeah.
you
know,
were cast on the very first season of the biggest reality show of all
And it
time.
was
That's a
such-
huge deal.
What an event. I mean, what a thing to witness and see. And then even afterwards, and we come home and, you know, you're there for all of it. And it was such a weird thing. And even, you know, looking back, I'm happy to look back on it. And I am happy that I did not absolutely throw myself, you know, because I almost did, you know, I almost did try to, you know, make a groveling play, but I was like, this is going nowhere. Let's just call it a day. We had a good time. But, you know, Todd, now you and you know, again, it's funny how you two have teamed up because, right, in life, you guys are different people for sure.
Yeah.
But here you are, you know, you work together, you play off of each other. There, like Jervis and I still talk all the time.
Which
They're
I
two
think
human
is so
beings
cool.
that never
Would have met.
I mean,
Never-
I text with him probably 5 times a week.
Oh,
Wow.
I love them.
And you know, we spent after that, we were a team on a lot of events and endorsement things and things like that. They would pull us together. We were a team for years after that.
Do you know, I remember his quote after he ate the rat. It for some reason, for 26 years, I've been saying it's on till the break of dawn, like hot buttered popcorn. And I still say that. Ask my family. And I'm like, Jervis.
I thought I was doing
I
something
laughed
wrong.
so hard. I thought that was so funny.
When I was
That's
cutting
amazing.
that rat up, and there were so many cameras, and Mark was shocked. He goes, "Hold on, you ate a rat?" I thought I did something wrong, but I was so hungry. I was so legitimately hungry. I mean, I was really in a rough way. We had done a challenge, a reward challenge. I couldn't even hold my breath for 5 seconds. Like I tried to go into the water, and I was so physically just done.
Oh yeah.
It was 11 days in by that time. And we had pushed it so hard to even get out there and everything. I was really messing with. We decided to eat those rats. I thought I was doing something wrong, and there was so much there. And you know, it was just, again, you didn't know what you were supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Is this acceptable? Is this going to be, you know? So the stuff starts coming in your
You
head.
wrote the
start seeing-
playbook.
But it was, you know, and then it was because Richard. We did an interview for Vice recently. It's like the dark side of reality or something like that, and they did a nice job. But I was surprised now. Here's Richard. And Richard, if I don't know if you ever met Richard Hatch, but he's a very, very intelligent person.
Oh yeah. Very
You know,
smart.
he's a shithead for sure. And I love him. I do love him a lot.
But he's a beloved shithead.
Oh my God, that son of a bitch. Oh my God. Oh my God. But he's so intelligent. And it was surprising to me that he recently did an interview and he goes, I'm really surprised that this followed me back home. Because I don't think he ever got another team building job after that, because he's a guy that made a team that he could kill. And I'm like, Richard, you're so smart. How the hell did this not affect your brain that this is going to follow you home, man? You know, we had done we were at a team building exercise 3 years before Survivor, and we did the same premise. We had tables of people and we had to vote each other off of our tables. There was animosity for years inside the company. So you get out here, you're going across the world, and Todd, you probably don't even realize the hatred people probably have for you, Todd, because you came out of this thing on stage. They probably think about you every day.
Oh, I know that people out there hate me.
Oh no, we're fully aware.
No, the people on your
Fully
island.
aware. I don't think anybody hated Todd. I really don't.
God. Oh, I mean,
mean,
dude, you played so well. You
really?
did a great job. You did a great job.
No, he made it easy to love him. It was even if I wanted to be mad at him. I was even like watching.
He has that quality, doesn't he? Yeah.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure there's people who are not happy with me, Leslie.
Well, okay, I will be honest. For 5 seconds, I was like, and that was when I watched it. And he goes, "Why would she give me the clue? What is she thinking?" And I went, "I thought we were friends." He called me and he goes, "It's okay, Mama. I swear it was just for TV. I just knew what they needed to hear." And I was like, "Okay, all right, we're good." But yeah, it was hard. It's hard. You're really putting yourself out there.
Leslie, they know that you're a good person. When you're doing your written testing and you're doing all that stuff, they already know what they're dealing with. So by the time we're actually sitting down with production after that testing, they know what they're dealing with. You answered all those questions. They knew what was going to happen. You know, you're a good person. You know, Todd, I'm not saying anything. We're going to do the same thing. What you did is what you did. You did an incredible job. Yeah. You did an incredible job. I'm going to say, you know, you did. And so Leslie, you're going to thrown in a game that being who you are as a person, as principled as you are, you're not going to bend on those things. It's going to be difficult. And even
I don't think it occurred to me for one moment that I could win, if I'm being honest. Yeah, now I wanted to win, but
I feel like the biggest difference too, though, is like you had things that you like boundaries you would not cross. You had things that you would not do because of your faith and your community and whatnot. I was 22 and I was ready to be a sneaky, manipulative player. That's all I was ready to do it, and I had no problem. I had no problem doing it because it was like
acceptable.
That was my goal.
Yeah,
it was. You know, that was an acceptable thing that in culture at that point. Now, as you go on after that, you know that is an acceptable thing for you to do. You also had the right temperament for it. You also had the right. Honestly, I'm going to say you were not a big, huge dumb gun. So you were a perfect person to snake right in there. And if this was truly a situation where we were shipwrecked, I would have smashed the null reality. I would have just killed those other guys in their sleep. I would have let you around because, you know, you were this lovable guy. You're this nice guy. You're not a huge threat to me. You know, you poisoned me in my sleep is probably what you would do. Yeah, it's, you know, that is the premise of this. And that's why it's 50 seasons. And it's 50 seasons now where we have a lot of people upset that they did not get on season 50. And to some of them, sure, they're great, memorable characters. They were perfect for the show. But it is not about us.
Well, and I don't think that we can ever forget that if you're on this show, period, you're a good character. Like, of course you're good, or you wouldn't even have been picked, right? But there are some that literally have taken it to the nth degree, or some that maybe got along better with production, or better, you know, certain things. Like, it's not that they're not good. They're amazing, or they wouldn't have been on the show in the first place. And so that's what I try to tell people when they're like, "Oh, I can't believe they didn't pick me." I'm like, dude, they did pick you. They just didn't pick you for this. Like, you are on, nobody can take this away from you. You were on the best reality show of all time.
I do think it is. I do think this has been 25 years of meeting these people that have been on here.
Yeah.
And recently I met two people. Andrea Belke does a nice job. And I don't go to events or something like that, but she did a charity here in town. So I went to this charity event, and Andrea, she's a wonderful person.
She's awesome.
She's awesome. I love her.
She had two people there. She had a bunch of people there from the Survivor thing, but Genevieve and and you can tell, and I can tell now, there's three things as far as production goes in your relationship with production. If they're still nice to you and they're still answering your calls, they can still use you.
Yeah.
If they're not answering your calls and they're blowing you off and they're ignoring you, they have no more use for you anymore. And if they're attacking you or crap talking you or saying, don't deal with this person, they're afraid of that person, whether it's Stacey Stillman or all of us and the whole thing. They want that person out. Sue Hawk was probably in that group. Now I'm in that group. Stacy's in that group. There's probably a bunch of other people. Jonny Fairplay, that Russell guy is in that. But I could tell with Genevieve and Q, the way that they were talking about production, like, oh, these two are going to be out. That Q is an incredible athlete, and he's a bigger crew than what you realize. He's a big guy, and he's a D1 athlete. And that Genevieve girl is one of the smartest people.
Play?
She's a brilliant.
Yeah.
Talking to her,
I love
like, this is one intelligent animal right here.
Yeah.
This I would get rid of this person
So early.
immediately. The only thing I'm thinking when I'm talking is like, first of all, she was brilliant.
Yeah.
It's just to talk with her. She's engaging. She's a brilliant, brilliant person. And I feel bad for her because she really ran into some luck. And that's that's the whole thing. I mean, yeah, I think that she is one of the smartest people that I met. But as you go down all the people to a person that's on Survivor, they're all outgoing.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're all amazing. I know that I could take you two, stick you in a room, and not
And make a
introduce
TV show.
And
You could give us a TV show and we'd freaking make it entertaining.
You'd be outgoing. You would not be this shrinking. You'd not be a wallflower. You'd be talking and everything and the whole thing. And it's a part of who it is, and it's this little section of society that casting was great at putting together. But also, when it's all said and done, for us, it's our life. For them, it's a product.
True.
Yeah.
And that's understandable. And this is a product.
That's profound. That's very, very true.
And that's something that I appreciate. So I get what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I also say to people as well, listen, there's the people you have to deal with. There's also production itself. So we'll do production. I've done a bunch of production work since then. And we'd have people, what I cared about when you were showing up to a production I was working on? Are you easy to deal with?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're a pain in my ass, you better be Robert De Niro.
Yeah.
You better be bringing something with you to the table.
This is true.
This is a huge amount of money that we're doing. We're spending all this money. Everybody's here. And the cameras are on you right now. Yeah. You better do exactly what I want you to do. Otherwise, I don't need you here, somebody else. And nobody's so big that they're bigger than Survivor. Yeah. The premise itself is so good that you can take a lot of these people and throw them in there. So I know this last year, everybody's upset that I didn't get on. Can you believe this person? Whatever. It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter. You have this amazing canvas to put these people in there. And I think Jeff knows that. That's why it's turned into really 45 minutes of Survivor and 45 minutes of product placement and a talk show that Jeff's hosting.
Okay, wait. What about the rap, guys? Can we talk about the rap? No.
Can we not?
Listen, I love Jeff. Listen, Jeff. Listen, I'm gonna, let me back about Jeff here. When I met Jeff, he had just been cast as the host 2 weeks before that. He was just new on it.
Wow.
And I had been voted off. And Jeff really at that first season, he was not even a thing. Like if Jeff would have come up and told us to do something, it would have been like my mom showing up and telling us nothing. She had no pull. No pull. It was Mark and Craig and Scott Messick.
Yeah.
Jeff was a professional. Jeff was a professional guy that did what he did. And now it's weird because we distribute for LG, and one of the top guys for LG worked with Jeff previous to Survivor for years, and never a bad word about this guy. Absolute total professional, and that's what he's doing there. And we had talked that morning. He says, listen, man, I was almost going to call it a day. I was thinking about selling real estate if I did this. He was thinking about calling it a different time. So when I see Jeff's success, I 1000% cheer for him. I am so happy that guy has had the success that he has. I think he really put in his time beforehand. Like the rest of us got a lot handed to us right away because of the hit of the show that Mark Burnett pushed over. I mean, it's also done. That guy is a beast. He is a beast. All time.
Brilliant.
Never in a million years. Maybe that. He is a guy that I could see making it because he is such a unique individual. He's like Les Moonves and Mark Burnett are two very unique, powerful, brilliant people that had this happen. But Jeff now doing his thing now, what does this turn into? The rapping? Holy smokes.
This is what I say is like, how dads, they start to become like more emotional and they just start getting like weirder and less funny, but they think they're getting more funny.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's happening.
That's kind of
a lot
what
of
it
people
felt like.
laughing at jokes. Listen, I think that's all of us, right? Especially after, our show was a massive hit. So for years, we had all sorts of people coming in trying to glom on us. and you start believing your own press.
Yes.
And you start
exactly.
believing you're funnier than you are, you're better looking than you are, you're smarter, you're always right. Oh my God, everybody cares what I have to say. You believe the bullshit. And
Well, and the next thing you know, you're jumping on the couch on Oprah. You know what I mean? Like,
that's right. Or you're rapping on Survivor as a 50-year-old Caucasian man.
no, I think he's in his 60s.
He's
He looks great.
63.
He
He looks
great.
fantastic.
I'll tell you
but-
what, man, that guy looks great. He looks,
he
he's
does.
adorable. And you know, he's a good looking, he's all of it. You know,
Yeah.
that's the thing about Jeff. He's an absolute naturally talented professional to do what he does. And that's why he was cast in the first place.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
have to, on top of that, if you're in Los Angeles, have to be hyper driven. So he's
Yeah.
hyper driven to keep himself in there. And he has now worked himself up to really, honestly, the face of this.
Of Survivor.
And
100%. I wonder
Yeah.
what would happen if he ever quit. Do you think the show
Nothing.
would just go?
no,
No.
I thought half of me thought that Colby was going to be the host after this season. Half of me was like, okay, Colby, like Jeff's going to say, you know what, Colby, thanks for the time. You've been wonderful, but guys, I'm going to step down. Colby, this is yours. Maybe when Netflix buys it. When Netflix buys it from CBN,
Here's my
Colby's
thought
gonna be the
though,
host.
because Australian Survivor, okay?
Yes.
Australian
Okay.
Survivor, I'm a fan. Jonathan, JLP, was the host for 10 years.
He was so
And then-
good.
They fired him and replaced him with a previous contestant, and fans were outraged, including myself. Well, that current season is airing, and I'm watching it, and I was so angry at first, but I don't
Mhm.
even really notice that much of a difference. As horrible as that might sound, but I'm like, all right, this is fine.
No.
Do I
I'll
wanna
never
see
love
Jeff
it
go?
again, ever. I love JLP.
I mean, I love
You know
JLP.
what? I would never want to see Jeff go because I think he earned everything that he has.
He
Yes.
did, and I don't want to see Jeff go either. But I mean, at
But-
some point, he's got to retire.
Well, you know, he still looks good and he could go
He
once
does.
here or whatever, but I think probably when the property goes to a different airing network, because when CBS cancels, it ain't just gonna go away. So a
Yeah.
streaming service is gonna pick it up. You know, it's just like
Oh, yeah.
Bachelor. Bachelor didn't get canceled. It's gonna show up on ABC streaming a year from now with the
Yeah.
highest ratings ever because it was the canceled season. And that's what they're
Ugh.
gonna do to ABC streaming,
So
and it's gonna
true.
bring that whole new crowd from network TV over to see ABC streaming. And it's like, oh my God, can you believe it?
Yeah,
Well, yeah, we can believe it because you knew who you were cast. The
Mm.
first 2 minutes of that Mormon live show was her throwing a stool at somebody, and all of a sudden this show's about to air, and they're like, "Oh my God, did you know she threw a stool at everybody?" Well, no, only everybody that watched the show.
And
It's
3
bizarre.
years ago,
Yeah.
All right. Let me
It's-
ask you a question, Joel. Getting back to your Survivor experience, just because I really want to know this. I love this question, especially for old school. So if you could go back to Joel, sit with him on the beach right before he was about to start this game, what advice would you give him?
See, I tell everybody the same thing. Shut up. That's all you got to do.
Don't
There
buy
you
into
go.
the hype.
You know, I saved Jervis because Gretchen was trying to talk already a couple days before that she wanted to kill Jervis. And we were all having a conversation on the beach one night, and Jenna was flailing. You know, she's the right person for the show because given the chance that I'm going to strangle her out, she's going to be punching all the way till she dies.
Yeah.
Some people will just take the death. Jenna will make a mess of stuff. So she goes, Joel said this, or Jervis laughed at the thing or whatever. And the next day, these girls, because the production had not caught it on camera, they didn't have enough cameras and stuff that steer me around. So we'd actually at night sometimes by ourselves hanging out on fire bullshit. Well, there was microphones everywhere, but there was no camera there, so they didn't catch this. So they reintroduced this into the conversation the next day by the fire, and Colleen and Jenna start beating Jervis up. And I'm thinking, well, Jervis is the only person that can help me right now. So Gretchen already wants him gone because he's not doing anything. Jenna and Colleen are going in on him. And if I let him go and he goes, I have zero out here. And I said, hey, Jervis, you let him talk long enough, they'll get you out of the box. And that all that blame went right here. And I at that time also, I was kind of done figuring like I cannot con my way through this because it would not be good. So I was like, but right, just shut up.
Okay.
Shut up.
That's
You don't
fair.
need to win. You do not need to win a challenge. You do not need to win reward
Todd?
challenges. I tell people, don't win a reward challenge. I recently talked to this little kid he's Brandon Donlin.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
He went out first, and I've known him for years before that. And I was like, dude, don't volunteer for any reward challenges. Don't show everybody you kill it. Because I had done a Maine thing where we went up to Maine and we did a fake survival or whatever. And I just did this through it. I didn't win one single challenge until the end. I almost won this little last challenge because I knew I had to win a challenge at the end to get rid of the fan favorite person, and it would just be Survivor people, then I could win. Because nobody's ever going to vote a Survivor person to win anything in one of these silly things. But you don't got to win anything. You don't have to win challenges. You don't have to win arguments, because if you win an argument, you lose. If you win a challenge, you lose. Because why?
And if you win hearts, you lose. If you win hearts, you lose. And that's the thing I didn't understand. I was like, I want to be everybody's best friend, but that's a really dangerous place to be.
The food, being a provider.
Yeah.
I caught fish. So I did Ozzy, who listen right now, who am I cheering for to win in this season right now?
Ozzy.
Just because there's such a it's just
They'll use the provider up until you don't need it anymore.
You never needed it, man. I mean, the last time he's
Especially for 26 days. I mean,
the last time he's getting voted out, he's leaving. And I remember him saying, and I always cheered for him because I like the challenges and I wish it would have been a thing. But you have to figure out, dude, it ain't about that, man. It's about the boats. Yeah. And he's leaving. And as he's getting his torch snuffed, the fourth time he's going, he says, good luck eating. And I'm looking at him like, dude, we figured that out halfway through season 1. That doesn't matter. You're on your 4th playthrough and your final thought is good luck eating. Nobody cares.
No.
Nobody cares if you can't.
You're not even hungry after day 3. It's like you're just thirsty.
Because you are getting some food. These shows now, they show it's okay. Listen, you guys look like it was miserable out there. That looked like
it was terrible.
It was.
It's a lot. It looks like now, but I hope Ozzy. It looks like he's figured it out. He's who I'm cheering for. I've been cheering for that guy for years. I want him to come and get it done and do it. And then I like the big, huge guy too. That big son.
Jonathan. He's killing it.
Jonathan. He is. I'm really enjoying his game this time around.
I like him.
He apprenticed with Boston Rob.
Yeah,
well,
you know that
he has definitely different. He brings different weapons for sure than Rob.
I would definitely want that meat shield in front of me.
Size makes him threat immediately once they merge.
Oh, he's such a beast. I mean, he's scared of shit. I mean, that guy in your season 2, that Gravedigger guy.
James.
Oh, James. Superman. Yeah. That's what I called him.
Just
huge. That guy's a big coil of muscle. I mean, but see, when you look at that, so Ozzy or all these things, like, what does it take to win? You don't have to win challenges. You probably are putting yourself as a liability to do that. Cherie, look at her. I mean, that lady literally is an anchor to the ground, and he doesn't. But it's that other thing. It's like, am I really worried about this person doing things? No, but you let him hang around long enough.
That was the best thing I've ever heard, Joel.
I absolutely love her, but you're right. I mean, but it's kind of like Sandra when she plays. She doesn't do any challenges, but my gosh, she's so strategic.
I think Sandra getting money 2 times from civilians is, and I say it's like once you play once, after that you're never a human again. Like you've been through it, so you know better. So, but here's Sandra 2 times. These people gave her the $1 million again. Really, one of the most impressive things. My 3 favorite people are Sandra, Chris Doherty. How that guy got 5 ladies to vote all of themselves out, and then give him $1 million. To this day, I tell that guy, "Is like, dude, I don't know what you did." And then Mike Holloway, he really had a win out challenge-wise.
Yeah. Well, and he had a hard season too. Like it was tough. I think
they didn't love
his
him.
Personality. Yeah. I think the way his social game was, in spite of how much they didn't like him. Yeah. It's crazy. I don't know how he
I like him a lot as a person.
I do too. He's a good guy.
He's a good, honorable person that won. But you had to win out. But that's how I look at it. The way Todd plays when I'm watching Todd. The way you play it is how you got to play it. Everything you did is how you got to do it. You did an incredible job. You did as good of a job as anybody could. They asked me in casting, how long do you think you're going to make it? I said, halfway. And I said, everybody else said they're going to win. I said, I wouldn't let me stick around past halfway. I would get rid of me because that's the deal. I mean, I would never let me hang around. Todd, I'm going to let him hang around. And all of a sudden before, again, he's going to poison me in my sleep. And that's the thing, and you did a great job, and you were able to play those people like you did and hang, and it's so that's the show. So that the premise of this show is so good. That's like the show Traitors. That premise is incredible. Would I go on Traitors? Absolutely not. You would have to show the
Oh,
world
I would do it.
how terrible you could be.
Leslie, you would
No.
not. Oh my
No,
gosh.
I would
You
go and be a faithful. I would.
Yeah,
not
and
be a
then it
tra-
would
I
make
would
you
want
a
to be a
traitor.
traitor.
You
I would be the
canonified.
best faithful on the planet.
Then
You would say, I want to be a faithful, and they would purposely make you a traitor, and then you would hate.
Oh, I am a
Here's the
terrible
thing
liar.
about that show. If you're a faithful and you are on the last
It would be
4,
so fun to try, though.
you should know you are the dumbest person in the house. If you're on Traitors and you're a faithful and you're in the last 4, you ain't the smart one.
You know what
And
I want to be?
no.
I want to be a faithful who gets recruited to be a traitor.
Sure.
That's what I want.
You couldn't do it.
You
I
have
could
to
do it.
You know, if you watch the first one where Suri won and they had again civilians on there with Ari, I probably would have been Ari ducking out at that point. Oof. I do not need to lie this bad to steal 50 grand from this poor person right here that
But
needs
it's
it.
a game. Everybody knows
Yeah.
going in. That that's
Everybody
what's
keeps
happening.
saying that, but no, they
I
don't.
know.
They
Listen,
don't.
it was
You're
this
right.
last season of Traitors with Rob when it got down to the
Oh.
final. Me of all people, I was like, oh,
Cringe.
how I hurt inside for what's her face.
And her first her utterance, her spontaneous utterance, you're never gonna get a girlfriend. Exactly.
Yeah.
Forever. I tell this people all the time.
That's
When
not
you
true,
tell
though.
people you're on a show, the first thing you're gonna do is they're gonna Google you.
Yeah.
And they're gonna know forever. This
But
is
it's
never
a
this
game.
this cow comment nonsense for me 26 years ago still comes up today. I
Yeah.
thought that I was going to get away from this right before your season. In reality, I had been away from Survivor. I was living in Los Angeles. I was doing a whole different life. I thought this whole thing was almost over. I didn't think it's ever going to come up again. What year was that? 2007?
Mhm.
Yes.
That's almost 20 years ago. And if I go to a trade show, if I go to a business, if I go to anything, and this is me looking like this, I look like the guy that ate the guy on Survivor. That's, you know, and still yet, it still comes up. And I was like, this is going to go away. This is going to go away. It's still on television and people are still talking about it. And it's still talking about Colby and all these different people and everything. And it's never going to go away. And they're going to Google this forever. Forever, when you bring up your name, the first thing they're going to do is Google you. What are they going to see? And that's who you are.
Exactly.
Well, and I think that's why I'm doing what I do in my life now, because I was so known on Survivor as Sister Christian, as you know what I mean. And I'm like, wait, I need to explain, So now I feel like I've just, I have this other.
So now, Leslie, take yourself.
Yeah.
And let's say you are doing that and you go out and you act like Suri.
Mhm.
You're not going back to Sister Christian. You're not going back to the Christian community.
That's why I
because
wish they'd put me
it's just a
back
game.
on.
It's just a game. It's going to be a different life for you afterwards.
I already have that life.
Yeah.
See, you don't understand. I have been voted out of my community. Like the people I went to church with,
Really?
100%. Like it was way more painful to be voted out of Christianity than to be voted out of Survivor.
Exile,
And
for sure.
and I'm on Exile Island. I really am. And I'm creating a new community. I'm learning a new language. It's been beautiful, but it was so painful that
Wow.
now I feel like I've already lost more than I've ever lost in my life. I don't think a game, to me, it's a game. To me, it's so different because in life I've experienced the worst of the worst.
Mhm.
And so I'm like, I could definitely, it would be fun to try. Now, do I genuinely love people and do I fall in love easily? Hell yeah. Like I am a problem when it comes to that. Like I trust everybody. Todd knows. And
That's
I
why you said
just,
you could not be a traitor.
I could though. Like I think I could. I think it would be fun to try. I really think it would.
I would love to watch.
Here's
Watch me
a
squirm
very
and grow up.
this is not a lovely way to look at this, but I've looked at this quite a bit this way when I say it's just a game.
Yeah.
They say if you go to prison and you had some wrong crimes, like the prison's going to take it out on you and they're going to punish you. And a lot of psychologists say, well, that's just a psycho's excuse for acting like a psycho in prison if this person will behave poorly. If you go out and you're on Survivor and you're just going to love to cut those throats, it's because you've been waiting to cut those throats your whole life.
That's
Now I
true.
get a
There's
chance
a difference between cutting the throats and loving to cut the throats. I saw Todd's
Correct.
reaction.
Correct.
When
You're
he
very
voted
right.
me out, he did not love it. I
Right.
think that there is a thing that you can do on these shows where you kind of step away from yourself and you live in this little fantasy of like, if I was this kind of person,
Sure.
you know,
Well,
and that's
and
kind of
here's the
fun.
weird thing is the truth is now if I were to go play again, I genuinely believe I would have a harder time.
I think you're right.
Because you
voting
know
people out.
Right.
Well, you've lived
Like-
a lot of life too, a
And,
lot
and
of hard
because
life.
like I mean, as I get older, I become a little bit more sensitive, I guess. I don't know. It sounds
Yeah, you realize the repercussions of your actions.
Mm,
When
Yeah.
you're a
there's that
kid,
too, yeah.
you don't truly understand what the damages are that you're doing. And
I
it's-
don't like seeing people hurt, and I don't want to be the one to
Or their
hurt them.
dreams being crushed. Ugh.
Yeah.
But also, Todd, help. You were a smaller dude, and
Yeah.
this was your chance to take out some big dudes. And there's
Well,
only a couple times in life.
All
you're
I
gonna-
could think about when I played was this is my dream and
Yeah.
I'm going to do it. Like
Yeah.
my dream is currently in my lap and it's up to me. And like that's all I could think about. Now I would understand on a different level, but I think it's because I've experienced seeing people that I care about, and the pain they go through when they have been voted out and like the thought process and the patterns of like repetitively woulda, coulda, shoulda. And it's like, but there was nothing you could do, like there was nothing you could have done because that's just what the situation was. And so,
Yeah, Todd, only Leslie and I have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about that second.
but that's
There's a
what I mean.
huge
Is
load
if I
on your
played
shoulders that you don't
again,
have to carry.
if I played again, I would have that in my mind of like, I'm going to cause this to somebody.
And
Does
that's
that
a
make sense?
liability. And that's a liability for sure in the game. You have to be willing. You have to enjoy it. So Richard enjoys it.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
what's
You know,
scary. That's when
Richard
it
is
gets
kind of
Russell
like a guy-
enjoyed it.
Like he
People who
likes
enjoy it.
to sit the-
Rick Devens enjoys it and stays
Yes.
likable. What the hell is that?
Well, to me, I look at Rick and I think he's one of these guys, but these are not dynamic people. These are people that are there for
I
that.
don't know. I love him.
I love him
think
too,
there's-
but he's
there's
not there like if
But
you
he's
look at,
having
like,
so much fun. I love that
who's-
he's having
who's-
fun.
like I don't know. He puts on that he's having fun, but how can you have to be such business? I mean, he enjoys the cutting of the throat though.
He also did not look like he was having fun at tribal council last episode.
That's
He looked like he was going to throw up.
He is very
Yeah.
likable. He's
Yeah.
somebody that I probably would like to sit down and have a conversation with.
Oh,
He's a
100%.
good dude. I
I
like
want him on the show once it's over. Yeah, because none
Quite
of them
honestly,
I don't
if
think
you
can do
ever-
it yet.
There's only so many people that you ever meet on Survivor that if you put you by a table, you can have a conversation. Some people butt heads. I mean, I butt heads with a lot of people because I have especially after this, like you talk about putting things in perspective. When you have children, your perspective change. When you go through this and it's on a massive scale like this, where half the world knows about thing, and if I get in a conversation with somebody in a room, it doesn't really even come into effect anymore. Especially after you have a thing where it's such a huge, it doesn't. As soon as you're on network television, your life is going to change. If people know you, they treat you differently.
Yes.
Period. But that's the end of the story. And
Even if they don't know you, they think they know you, or they know the edit
that's better.
that
That's
you
better,
were
Leslie.
given.
Yeah, that's better, Leslie. They think they know. I think that's the best way to put it. When
Yes.
they see your face and they think you know. And I'm old. This has been a long time, and I'm gray, and I'm getting old. People will look up, and I can tell they kind of recognize who this human being is, but they really don't know who this human
They can't
being is.
place
And they're
you.
thinking like, "Oh, we're friends. Like we went to high school," and they'll be like, "Oh, hey," almost like a thought of recognition, and it kind of puts me off.
Yeah.
Because now I'm like, okay, do I actually know this person, or do they just think they know me? So now I got to
Yeah.
start a conversation in an awkward way, introducing myself, and so it's a weird thing, but you're right, Leslie. I think you're so right that they think they know you.
Yes.
They do.
And that is a very interesting like boundary that is sometimes hard to keep up because people do think that they know you want to, as a friend and it's weird.
Or as a foe,
Yeah. Or they
And you
hate
look
you.
at the people
Well,
that came
and
in here,
I think that's why we wanted to do this show, Joel, is because I know I've met survivors in person. I go to fundraise, well, just one, but I go every year. And I get to meet these people and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're nothing like what I thought.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
you have so much more to share than you were able to on your edit. So we
Oh,
need to
yeah.
give you some time. And like today, I just saw a whole new Joel. Like, I love that. You know,
Oh, yeah.
I love that. You were not the person that I knew 26 years ago on my
Well, I'm
TV.
definitely not that
You
person.
don't say.
I wasn't a
26 years.
I wasn't a little
So important
sweetheart.
to show people that, like, look, this is this person now. This is how this person grew from the experience. You can continue to put this person in a box if you want to, but I suggest that you listen, lean
Yeah, and
in,
you
be
get some
curious,
rhythm.
give them a freaking
Leslie
chance.
changing the world. Leslie's making
I'm
the world
changing the
better.
world. That's what I'm
Oh,
doing. One
darn it.
survivor at a time.
And that's good. You know, it's effort. I think you're right. I mean, especially if you go to these events and, you know, there's you meet these people like, oh, wow, this is, you know, when you do meet the people that finally do come out and win and you meet them, you're like, oh, I can see why this guy won.
Oh,
Yeah, I can see why this person did it. You know, you just meet, and it's been that way for a long time. Like, oh, I get it. You know, I understand why. You know, but it's also, and then you'll meet the people from the other shows, and you can tell the Survivor people were definitely the ones that were their favorite edits or their favorite people in casting. Those are the people that they really liked. And talking about CBS, and you have your Amazing Race people and your Big Brother people, and they bring different things to it. This Survivor now feels a lot like this is Big Brother out of it.
It's super weird. You can tell the difference between
That's
who's on
crazy.
what show.
Oh,
Just
yes.
by- it's weird. It's really weird. But yeah.
And it's a thing that, you know, a great example was the real world people and the Survivor people, and talking to the casting people. There's first season of Survivor were people that you could take a blowtorch and put it under our feet and we're probably not going to freak out. And the first people are the people that were on Real World. If they didn't get their order right, they're having a, you know, they're crying and breaking down. So there was a big difference that you can take a level. People think like, oh, you're on Survivor, you react heavy. Technically, no. Technically, you can take a little bit because it gets pretty nasty quick when you're out there and you're starving and it's cold and you're wet and you haven't slept in a few days. You know, oh my gosh, I just
shock.
God, what would I do? You talk about what would I do when I go back to that person and say, be quiet, don't worry about winning challenges, you know, let somebody else take the lead, which is very, very difficult for me to do. And also just try not to be so short with people. You know, there was a time where I was catching a fish and man, I'm hungry, man. This is like day 15 and I'm really, really hungry. And I had a really big fish on the line and I'm pulling it in and Gretchen's come running with a spear to spear it. And I'm not even risking it. I took the spear from her and speared it myself. And that right there
You wrote it out.
was one of the many things.
Yeah.
Was none of the many things, but you're so hungry. And at that point, I'm also like, I'm done screwing around with these people. I'm done. I'm not going to play this thing. And, you know, I did it, you know, so I look back on it and also what would have changed and how my life have been different. You know, I've had some tremendous opportunities since then. And I just got to say that everything that I'm so incredibly thankful and again, honored and proud to have been part of this and taught my life before and after were two completely separate lives. You know, I was 27 years old when I went on. It's been 26 years since then. My life is not in any way the same. I read the same thing that Colby was saying. It's like half my life.
Yeah.
Half my life now has been this thing. Now his is, I mean, he's got, I'm gonna, whenever I see Colby pop up on another thing, whenever I see any reality person pop up on a thing, it helps all of us because it gives us some credibility.
Yeah.
Well, the success that Elizabeth had and the success that Colby had, and Ethan's done an incredible job with it. And Boston Rob, you know, my God, buddy. I mean, just take something from a dang construction worker, you know, gypsy to
From Boston.
To this, you know, all the people that, you know, so I do like to see that. And I can't, you know, I'm very proud of being part of it. And I'm very happy that I was part of it.
Yeah.
As small as that might be. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Well, Joel Klug, thank you for joining us today.
Really, really fun. And it's honestly,
so good.
It's
That was
surreal. Like
Yeah.
as the kid, you know, I was 15 years old when you were on, and I remember watching episode 1. And so it's so cool for me to experience this. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
This was so fun to get your perspective, and thank you for laying the groundwork for the rest of us, my
It's
friend.
great.
I know you feel
really
like you messed up, but we learned a lot from you. We really did. We learned how to, you know, take those chances. And
It's
you
so
know,
fun to see you two. It's so fun to see you two. Because when you finally watch it, because I get busy, I don't always see stuff, you know, and then to watch it and then to see you both here now, it's like, oh, it's so, it's
we're okay.
yeah.
And
We
it's
survived.
been 19 years, which is crazy.
God, I
It's
know. Oh my
wild.
God, I'm so old.
Wow.
Yeah. Whew.
Wild.
Todd, keep in
Well-
touch. I want one of your little, where can I
Absolutely.
go? Where can I go to get the statue?
Todd's Pop Shop on Instagram
Right on.
or
Looks just
toddspopshop@gmail.
So cute.
Adorable.
Yes, he does a great job. Oh, wait, you have to see my torch. He even put my name on it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Isn't that cool? It's so
That's
cute.
awesome.
Anyway, you guys, thank you so much, Joel.
you.
Yes,
We
thank you,
will,
Joel.
I'm sure we'll be in touch. Maybe we'll have you back on again sometime.
Happy Easter.
Happy
Thank you.
Easter, yes.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
See you later.
Bye.
Oh,
How
we went
fun.
down memory lane. How fun was
Uh-oh,
that?
I lost you, Leslie. I can't
Okay.
hear you.
Okay, it's okay. Hang on. I'm going to call you and then we will just talk through the phone.
So first of all, that was super cool because Borneo literally is, oh my gosh, it just takes me back to that summer when I was a kid and my mom was like, that jungle show is on. And so that was really cool talking to Joel.
I know. And what a great perspective. And
Yeah.
he's just such a different person now. And I think that that's the one thing that I'm loving about, we all still have that person that was on Survivor in us.
Yes, absolutely.
But we've evolved.
Well, and he's very self-aware, which I think is super hard to come by. And it sounds like even when he was going through casting, he was self-aware, and I wasn't self-aware until well after the show. But I think Survivor helps me become aware of who I am, you know?
I think I was just naive and it helped me to kind of break out of that. But, anyway, Survivor's just a great show. And so thankful that we get to rap about it. Not literally like Jeff Probst, but,
I'm super grateful for just for all of it. I mean, I still can't believe that we got to play this crazy game together
I know.
19 years ago in the jungles of China. It's
I
just
know
wild.
it's crazy. Well, guys, listen, if you're watching or even listening, you probably hear it's a little different. I lost Todd for some reason on video, so I have him on my phone. So we're wrapping up that way. But listen, get your voicemails in. We want to hear from you. If you don't know how to get to the voicemail link, which should be in the show notes, you can send me an email at beyondthetorch@gmail.com. I will send it directly to you. Leave a 90-second, that's a minute and a half, voicemail. Let us know, like, what about Survivor? Maybe even maybe there's a show you've watched of Beyond the Torch and you're like, wow, that opened my eyes to something that I didn't see before. We want to hear about it. We want to celebrate.
And you know what? It doesn't even have to, like, a lot of people that I've talked to think that they have to say something that is super impactful, change their life. It can be something just fun and exciting.
Yeah.
Like a cool story that you have to share about Survivor in general. I know I have many stories.
Yeah.
And so we know you've got some. Please call in and share them.
Yes. And thank you very much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed meeting Joel, actually the real Joel, not the one who was edited on TV. So we'll see you next time right here on Beyond the Torch.
Bye.
Thanks so much for hanging out with us today on Beyond the Torch. And before we go, I just want to let you know the story doesn't end when the episode does. Todd pours his creativity into Todd's Pop Shop, where he designs custom Funko Pops for fans who love Survivor and pop culture. You can find his work on Instagram at Todd's Pop Shop. And if you're in a season of transition with your faith, identity, or even just life in general, I'm Leslie Neese, a life and faith transition coach, and I offer one-on-one coaching for people learning how to move forward honestly and whole. You can find me at leslieneesecoaching.com. I also host a podcast called Honoring the Journey, where we talk openly about faith perspectives, doubts, questions, and the courage it takes to stay curious. Thank you so much for being a part of our tribe, and thanks for walking this journey with us. We'll see you next time on Beyond the Torch.